I'm the king of the game and I won't be swayed. But there's something I need, something to push me higher. Talk show Chris Collins and HenricK, they're on fire. They're watching all the rage quitters, exposing them with pain. They keep them gaming real, that's why they get a lot of respect from me. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, don't you ever stop. You're the voice of the gamers, splittering rage quitters on the spot. With your wit and laughter, you're the champions we need. Rage quit, Chris and HenricK, you're the heroes of the gaming breed. Turn around the video game mayhem. Chris Collins and HenricK, the rat bring the chaos. Gaming news and industry talk, they got it all. Rage quitting, head banging, it's a metal brawl. Mental meltdown, gaming in flames. Chris and HenricK bringing the thunderous rage. Video games and viral content. Better games, ripping through pixels, the ultimate gamer getaway. The ultimate. Rave over, I'm feeling the rage. Chris Collins and HenricK on the stage, talking gaming news. Industry that can't escape, we're reviewing video games. No need to debate, they bring the heat, spitting truth non-stop with fiery words. They're ready to drop, making waves in the world of video games. Collins and HenricK, they don't play no games. From console wars to DLC scams, they expose it all, making sure no one jams. The audience fired up, ready to explode. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. You know it's a code. When rage quits on, you know it's a code. Rage quit, rage quit. I'm losing my mind. Chris and HenricK, they're fucking gaming all the time. Rage quit, rage quit. It's a love-hate affair, but I keep coming back. Ain't nothing else to compare. Rage quit, it's a love-hate affair.
What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
We're here. We're time to rage, baby.
Come on, let's go! I'm ready to get it. Man, we always like to start off the show with the bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulated all across the World Wide Web. So let's get ready to rock and roll. So Fantastic Four First Steps just dropped, and during the global press tour, I don't know if you guys have seen this clip. It was an amazing clip from an awesome gal named Loser Fruit. Well, she had the cast sitting down with her in front of a computer, and they showed her a first glimpse, for the cast members at least, Sue Storm's Malice skin in Marvel Rivals. And let's just say that goth glow-up had the guys looking like they accidentally opened a very different kind of multiverse. What did you say, HenricK?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look.
The final one, which I'm just leaving to last because she has one of the most popular cosmetics in game.
No way.
Skins,
Really?
of course.
Oh, serious? This is
gorgeous. Let's show you what it is. Not this one. This one.
Thank you. This is my favourite bit of her as well.
That's Malice.
This
That's
is my favourite
Malice.
bit.
Very
Thank
popular
you. Guys,
skin.
watch out, like I said, for the sequel. You better watch it.
Here we go. Costume designer, take note.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you all your characters.
I'm going to get into gaming after this.
And you're going to play them, try their abilities.
They're very invested.
Yeah, very starstruck by what is going on. They're like,
Yeah.
I never knew that video games can, transcend even beyond the comic books. You know what I mean? And then they were probably wondering, like, why the heads of Marvel never even showed them their alternative looks, wouldn't you say? That would be kind of cool as a sequel. I mean, Sue Storm ain't lying in the moment. Vanessa Kirby.
I mean, it is based off of a moment in the comics, so
Yeah, hey,
they
you
could
never
do
know. But then again, you get comments like this. Jarvis, prepare the goon chair. Pedro Pascal is like, yeah, there has been quite an interesting global tour for the cast. That's for darn sure. But then all of a sudden, you get this iconic photo from Pedro Pascal. I mean, yeah, he was definitely the one that was like, I think I kind of want to play this game. I mean, look at Pedro. I'm going to get into gaming after this. Can you imagine running into Pedro Pascal randomly online as he bodies you with Mr. Fantastic? That would be something kind of legendary.
That would be a pretty epic moment right there.
I mean, why doesn't
won't even
Disney
know, but
But why don't they even think about stuff like that? I mean, yeah, you see politicians like, let's say AOC, that have like tried to make a big deal with their like, hey, let's try to get our fans and we'll try to encourage the youth to go out there and vote. Why doesn't Disney do the same thing to kind of promote their own films, especially when they make characters come to Fortnite and Marvel Rivals and stuff like this? Wouldn't that be so cool to run across a cast member, as you're playing in the lobby?
Maybe, but also there's the side of that where it's like, this is a little cringy.
Because,
Why
the
did you
person
guys
on the
do
other
this?
screen's going to take it the other way.
Yeah.
To try to create a viral moment against Pedro Pascal. Yeah, I totally hear you. There's a lot of times where we get finessed online. Right, HenricK? And, there's an AI-generated pixel art video that's punked the entire internet into thinking a fake game was real, and gamers fell for it harder than a day one pre-order. Don't be that person. Stand your ground. I know people have been saying that a lot towards Battlefield 6, but this video was made with Midjourney, the clip that got everyone hyped over absolutely nothing. I mean, is this the future of game development or just a really fancy way of, what do we call it nowadays on Tinder? Catfishing? Let's go ahead and take a look.
It does have an interesting aesthetic to it, but it also definitely reminds me of previous games that have already been made. Almost like they're training this off of other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than what the New York Times has accused ChatGPT, right? How did they find that source of information? Well, they stole multiple articles from us. That's how it gets smart. And that's how you, the artist, is now getting duped. I mean, did you hear that news too that IMAX is also creating an AI film festival? I thought everybody was revolting against artificial intelligence. Instead, they're actually partnering with Midjourney to, get more content creators to create short film with the AI tool. So I guess this is going nowhere soon in the sense of entertainment form. But let's go ahead and check out the comments. Don't let anyone tell you this doesn't look effing fire. I mean, if they do, they're lying because they wish they'd made it. It does look cool. I'm
Yeah.
not against AI. I've always said, like, we have to embrace it. It's not going away anytime soon. If anything, AI is progressing faster than humans, it feels like at this point. Might as well use the tools that are in front of you. But I heard a little from you, HenricK.
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but I'd be worried about other things other than just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to worry about the gameplay. Is the gameplay going to be good?
You're afraid it's going to be another marathon situation. I know,
Yeah,
trust
exactly.
me. Someone please make this into a real game. I would love to play it. And as the person who created this viral moment is saying below that as a reply, we are working on it. So with enough viral hits, can get enough people excited to actually make it become a real thing. And we'll see what happens. And then also you get game developers racing to post, my game looks exactly like this. And then the game is like this procedurally generated slob of a Lego cartoon set. Sometimes it'd be like that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of AI development that's also going to hinder the experience quite a bit. But that's why you got to support your indie and AA games. There's some fantastic ones. And let's just say, one of them might be a game that we might be talking about later on today on the show, but we want to keep things rolling because a streamer just cranked Mario Kart Worlds into overdrive, mimicking Shy Guy, dodging chaos, and pulling every trick possible to grab that sweet first place win. And honestly, the cart wasn't the only thing drifting. So was our sanity, right, HenricK? This is like bonkers. Like, I wish Mario Kart would go back to what I knew it. But then again, what do you say, gamers? Check it out.
I got to commend the guy for just staying in character the whole time. But
I know, right?
it's so off-putting how it's just playing like that at the same time,
But I'm also concerned at the same time because he sounds like he has a wet sock in his mouth as he's talking. I'm afraid that he's a little too in character, HenricK. But I'm curious on what gamers around the world had to say about this viral clip. Call me old-fashioned, but this shit has no place in Mario Kart. Yeah, you always gotta wonder.
I've seen a lot of people say that, really.
Yeah, and I haven't really jumped on the game yet. I know I'm a hater of Nintendo. Don't plan on picking up the Nintendo Switch 2 anytime soon. Do they have a game mode where you can turn off all that grinding shit? That is like this wall running. Can they go back to that old school aesthetic? I don't know. I'm calling a friend.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they do, but
Probably.
yeah, it feels like they went in a direction of like, oh, we got to put movement tech in here. No, we don't.
Yeah. No.
Mario Kart as it is what people go play the games for.
This game is starting to look like it was designed for the young kids that grew up playing Temple Run on their mom's phone. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on? And then bro was playing Tony Hawk. I know everything has to be Tony Hawk right now. My Atlanta. Can we go back to the glory days of just four wheels on the ground? Just ground and pounding to the asphalt, and then super committed to the part in the heat of the moment. Yep.
Yeah.
And he kind of stays anonymous too online, which is very, very funny. So hey, Shy Guy. Hey, you know what's funny too? I gotta say, just to kind of wrap up that one last clip, would Shy Guy actually be that good in a movie if they actually started implementing Mario Kart? Would he actually sneak up in the race, or would someone else be the dominant rider?
Yeah, he might actually.
He might be that
the underdog in a way.
Yeah, don't be fooled by the name.
Sleeper.
Shy Guy. Hey, but we want to thank everybody that is tuning in live to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. We are currently on Twitch, Meta, and YouTube, and we want to take a moment during today's live show for anybody that hasn't liked, shared, subscribed, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show. The QR code currently on screen is directed towards my YouTube channel.
And now you've seen it change. This is my QR code. Go scan it. Goes to my YouTube channel where there's tons of awesome content just waiting to be watched. So go watch some videos, leave some comments. I'm looking for them. I'll respond, all right?
That's right, and we're only getting started. So, HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah. Hey, you still there? Huh?
Yeah.
Come on, wake up.
Come
You
on,
don't
let's
remember
go.
why you're here?
Come on,
We're gonna
move
talk about
those
some
ham
games,
buckets.
all right?
Let's go.
Get your memory
Let's
back.
get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is Wuchang Fallen Feathers. This is a game by Chinese studio Linzi Games. They're not previously known for any big games, but this time they are backed by publisher 505 Games, who is well known already. So with all that said, let's start looking at the gameplay. Wuchang Fallen Feathers plays like a traditional Souls-like, clearly inspired by From Software's titles. Combat is the centerpiece, offering a range of weapon types from swords and maces to spears and more, each with unique movesets and abilities. The flow of combat depends on your weapon choice, the Skyborn Might system where you gain charges through specific actions like perfect dodges, and a straightforward skill tree that unlocks stats and modifies abilities. Skyborn Might powers special spells or skill enhancements, so use it wisely. There's also a madness mechanic where if you die at max madness, a demonic version of Wuchang spawns at your death spot holding your currency. The world isn't open, but exploration is definitely rewarded. Just keep in mind that you may be far from a save point if you end up dying. So how is the story in this new IP? Wuchang wakes up and finds she has been afflicted with a disease called the feathering. Therefore, she is destined to turn into a man-eating monster. Before this happens, she is set on finding a cure and making use of the supernatural powers granted by the disease along the way. What will be her fate? But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
I thought that From Software was done making Souls-like, or at least they're waning off of making them. Oh wait, this isn't a From
No.
Software game.
No, it's not.
Like,
but
it just feels like it though, right?
But it's some of that kind of same, sparse kind of dialogue that you get from those like NPCs along your journey. I mean, you can, discover more about the lore if you want to actually, sit there and listen. It's not the most important thing for this game, but I gotta say, when you think about Wuchang Fallen Feathers, I mean, it might sound like the name of a fancy tea, but no. It is a brutal Souls-like action RPG set in the late Ming Dynasty where the war and plague and grotesque monsters are just a part of the welcome package. Wouldn't you say, HenricK?
Oh yeah. The designs of the monsters really, like I was making a joke, it reminds me of From Software games. It literally is like the same kind of feel with the character designs and the enemy designs, where it's like grotesque monsters and people who've gone through the ringer somehow and are still alive and now want to fight you and kill you and take your runes. Well, they're not runes in this, they're something else, but yeah, they want to end your life one way or the other.
I know, I'm already blanking out already, from James Gunn's Superman, because it was a little bit forgettable. Hate to diss the film, but what was the person that was in Lex Luthor's room, Mr. Handsome? I mean, some of these creatures look like, that individual, on screen. But like, gamers, don't kid yourself when you play this game. You'll be spending 80% of the time dying and 20% of the time feeling like a god. I mean,
it is a Souls-like true to its core, in the sense of it not being easy.
Yeah, I mean,
don't expect to go into boss fights and be winning on the first time.
Yeah,
It's just not gonna
exactly,
happen
HenricK.
usually.
I mean, they kind of make you feel like that a little bit in the first 5-6 hours of the gameplay, but then it progressively gets harder as you start
there's some pretty heavy spikes in the difficulty later on.
Especially when you leave that Act 1 phase of the game. And the gameplay is what you would expect from a Souls-like. Hard, punishing, and somehow still addicting. And you're going to be collecting what they call red mercury in the game that comes from fallen enemies, which is the game's special sauce for leveling up. And why is that so important? Well, it's kind of a nice benefit that's a little bit different in this game that I would consider with, let's say like Elden Ring and, Dark Souls and etc., where thankfully, HenricK, thankfully for someone like myself that doesn't always have the will and the way to keep on progressing further and further with these kind of style of genre of gameplay. But dying doesn't just delete your stash completely. You only lose half, which feels downright generous for a genre known for emotional devastation. Wouldn't you say, Henrik?
Yeah, though there is a mechanic you got to be wary of, and it's a little bit of a risk versus reward kind of mechanic.
Very cool concept,
where,
too, by the way.
Yeah,
I
it's
know what
called
you're
the
about to say.
madness mechanic,
Yes.
where over time, as you're killing more and more enemies, your madness builds, and there's even skills in the skill tree that incentivize you to build it up, where you'll end up doing more damage, or it'll kind of like modify an ability of yours.
Yeah.
But if you're at max madness and you die, a demonic version of Wuchang spawns where you died, and now you have to kill that to get back all of your runes, not half, all of them. And if you die there, then they're all gone.
Yeah, the mechanic turns you into your own worst enemy, literally.
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna
and
have
literally the first time I came across it, I even put a clip of it in the little video. I rounded around that corner. I wasn't expecting it to happen, and she just had a like grenade launcher axe. I died because I was like, what's going on?
Well, she definitely feels like a game genie enabled, right? I mean, the difficulty definitely ramps up. There are benefits to going into madness. I mean, sometimes you're going to want to utilize that trait when you go into some boss battles, but then you want to quickly, you know, kind of have a nice equilibrium towards your character, Bay. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do. And I think, you know, as the story kicks off with the pirate named Bei Wuchang washing up ashore like a cursed message in a bottle with the serious case of amnesia, only to discover that even the survivors think that she's the final boss. Because like you explained in that your awesome introduction to Pause and Repeat, you know, she is becoming a monster towards these humans, and they are wondering what the hell is going on with the spread of the feathering. And as you fight and explore and unlock those devastating spells through the game's Skyborn Might system, which is really, really cool, that will, you know, gradually piece together, you know, some of that, you know, branching narrative that comes along the way with this game. I find it very, very cool that the most satisfying part for me, Henrik, was as you start to discover those spells and you beat bosses, you start to find out more, and you get to bring that into your arsenal. I thought that was a great, great addition because, especially in a Souls-like game, it gets kind of daunting. So the reward factor was very satisfying for me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have to have some sort of incentive as to why you want to put people against these bosses. Because there's going to be people that obviously are going to play Souls-likes just for the challenge and don't really care if there's a reward. But adding a reward makes it more enticing for people to keep trying to fight these bosses, because it makes you wonder, like, okay, what am I going to get when I finally beat this boss that has been killing me so many times? And then when you get it, you're like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool. Now I'm going to use this new spell or whatever reward I got to, you know, try and see if I like that more than what I have currently.
Yeah, it's so true. And, like, even the landscape, too, in this game and the art direction is fantastic. I mean, it's not quite an open world in a sense, I would say. But
it doesn't need to be an open
world. No, I don't think it
like
does at all. I mean, you're going to be, like, just mesmerized by the gorgeous temples, you know, decaying in a fog, you know, the bamboo forest where every area feels handcrafted to kind of lure you into these traps disguised as beauty. And that's why I think that's why I feel like this game works so well for the Souls genre. And you really can't get too comfortable with this game. And I feel like, you know, the 5 ways to dish out pain is really, really fun. And each one says something about your emotional stability. I mean, you got dual blades, which are fast and frantic for the players who like pressure. You got axes that are slow but hit so hard that you can knock the sense out of any kind of ghost that appears. You got a one-handed sword that keeps things balanced for those who want a steady survival. And then spears that, I don't know, Henrik, how do you feel? I mean, they let you kind of poke from a safe distance like you're trying to test if the thing is still alive. And then
I was kind of using the spears as like crowd control in a way, like if I was
pretty much
multiple enemies. But
well, how about the longsword? Did you buy with the longsword?
The longsword, that, you know, so what's interesting is I always in Souls likes tend to go for like the heavy hitter weapons, like the great swords and the big axes, that sort of thing. But I really like the longsword fighting in this game, actually. Like, even though
Yeah.
you start out with that weapon as your default, something just clicked with it for me, and
Yeah.
I'd never really felt like I needed to swap off to a different type as my main type of weapon type. But that was just,
Well,
maybe
doesn't it?
an example of how well they did for the combat in this
Yeah,
game.
I mean, it feels like huge swings, high risk with like a big payoff, and I feel like that's why they
Yeah.
wanted to introduce that weapon of choice first for you. And between the satisfying combat, the weapon swapping freedom, and surprisingly chill approach to death, because I need it. I have a skill issue. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers stands out in a crowded genre. It rewards strategy, patience, and tolerance for pain, and with the ability to wipe out your entire skill tree for free is definitely a plus, because that allows you to kind of have that flexibility towards, different weapons that not even a chiropractor will offer you, okay? And my verdict for this game is it's definitely a repeat. You're going to want to play this game, especially if you are a Souls-like fanatic. What do you say, Henrik?
I was a little worried because of a couple things. This is, a new IP from a new, smaller studio, technically, and it seemed really ambitious. But I had my hopes up for them, and I was also worried because when the game initially came out, it had some performance issues. There's been some patches since, so it's a
Right.
bit better. It's not perfect. It could
Mhm.
still use some work,
Yeah.
but it's much more playable than it was at launch. And even despite all that, even when I was playing the game and having a little bit of performance issues at launch, I was having the time of my life.
Yeah.
This
Yeah, no,
this
it's a
is
lot of
great
fun.
Souls game. I will say this is a repeat for me as well. If you've been itching for something to play after destroying Elden Ring for your 15th time through, maybe this is the game for you.
I mean, it is summertime, gamers. Do you need a game to sweat over? This is definitely the game to make it happen. So you probably want to put on your swim
Yeah.
trunks, because you're going to be diving in deep into the pool. You gotta cool off just a little bit. Sometimes it's okay to walk away from Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, but it's a fantastic game. Clearly, hey, HenricK the Wreck and I, we're vibing together. But we want to know from you, the gamers that have played the game, is this a pause to play something new or a repeat for endless fun? Let us know what's good. But we got a jam-packed show here on Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. So, HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah, grab your swords and slash through the news because it's time for patch notes.
Let's get it. What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. Gamers, have you ever seen a video game launch and then Uno reverse card itself back into beta in under 2 months? Well, Splitgate 2 just did that, and now just weeks later, 1047 Games is hitting the rewind button, unlaunching the game, pulling the plug on Splitgate 1, laying off 45 employees, and gamers are diving into the portals just to scream into the void with the following. So let's go ahead and dive right on into the comments. Unreleasing the game first time killed it off. It was doing well before that. Yeah, I was playing the game, HenricK. I've had multiple runs with homies. I didn't quite see some of the issues that the developers were seeing. So why unlaunch to go back into beta? That seems so crazy to me. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when we did the pause or repeat segment on this game, I felt it was pretty awesome in terms of the amount of features they added in. Like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of content to do that even some other bigger titles hadn't launched with. Halo Infinite.
Right.
So they did a good job there, but there was something that felt a little off, and that's why it ended up being a pause for me. And I know you really liked it though.
Yeah.
And I understood why you liked it because
I really like the fast
was a solid
gameplay.
experience all in all, really.
It really does. I love the fast gameplay. I thought it was pretty smooth and fluid. I think it is fair to say around Splitgate 2 that the game will remain playable during this time and will still receive its promised Chapter 3 update and some bug fixes, but they're still in beta mode, which it's like you feel like even when you hear that, I don't understand why reverse things. You can still make those updates without having to go back into beta, but let's keep it rolling. The multiverses approach. But the real question is, will it take the same path as multiverses post on launch?
Yeah, where it launches again and then decides, you know what?
We have
I think
LeBron
we're
James.
just gonna stop. We're gonna shut down.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And then like you put all that money into it, and then you're hearing from the main CEO, Ian, who is saying, absolutely not. There are no refunds. We're not doing that. We are promising you that the cosmetics that you bought already will go into the new 2026 relaunch of Splitgate 2. But do we even take that word?
Maybe this is why we got to have initiatives like Stop Killing Games, because then things like this happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what's the recourse for the game studio? Like, do they have to refund people? No, there's no law for that.
That's why we need better protection. Yeah, it's crazy.
Exactly.
I mean, $100 says we never hear from this game again. You can't quote unquote unlaunch. And then a follow-up comment reads, yeah, they're just changing the tag to beta once again. The monetization and platforms will still exist. No refunds either. Yeah, that's why I always have a problem with some of these like Steam games, and they're always doing like the early access release. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think it's a terrible thing for the industry. But then there are very few incidences, like let's say Schedule 1, that can launch off to a very successful launch. I mean, they could have got away with it. You know what I mean? Calling it a full release and updates.
That's also exactly why Steam started actually telling you on the early access game pages, hey, this game hasn't gotten an update in this many months. Maybe you shouldn't buy it because it's not going to ever be finished.
Yeah, they're finessing you. It's just basically a dead game, and they've moved on to the next project. Funding's closed. And then you get comments like this. I guess this is what the Splitgate CEO meant when he pulled that stupid make FPS great again stunt a few months ago. What an absolute shit show. And I will never get over him saying that and then proceeding to announce a Battle Royale game. Laughing my freaking ass off. Okay, I understand that crowd. There are people that definitely hate it. Well, guess what? Battlefield 6 is already getting leaks out that they're making their own Battle Royale as well. That genre ain't going away anytime soon. But to hate on that tiny little game mode around Splitgate 2 is such a silly argument to me. I actually thought it was really, really fun how they had the 6 separate worlds, and you had to, when the time closes, one portal world's going to die out, so you need to jump into the next world. I thought that was a bit refreshing. But supposedly some gamers, they hate it.
Even just looking outside of that, like there's so many other things to do rather than the Battle Royale. Like, I get it. It's annoying to see that every game is trying to follow the trend of either Battle Royale or extraction shooter. But if it's just an option and there's plenty of other game modes to play, it doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah, I mean, what bothers me is the fact on launch is when they launched that $145 microtransaction bundle.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the dumbest shit ever. And then the CEO trying to play it off like, oh, yeah, we had a Call of Duty guy that, we got rid of him. And, we don't want to have that same predatory similarities that, that we don't like.
The same thing.
Make Titanfall 3 great again, Please make it. And then we get comments like this. Splitgate launched good. All they needed to do was support it. Then fairly quietly release Splitgate 2. Then unlaunch it. And then they think anyone's going to play it now? They pulled the same shit with Splitgate 1, open beta, then the first season, pulled it, or just said new beta, and then another season 1. Game was dead after all this. But, I kind of get it. We've seen it with Call of Duty, right? I mean, at least, some of them still live on. But some of them don't just, completely die out. I mean, shit, people are still playing Battlefront 2. Battlefront, you know what I mean? From Star Wars. So it is kind of a wild move that they did pull this, and obviously I think it's because of pure greed. I mean, they could argue that, yeah, it's still a free-to-play game, but they're clearly trying to push skins that look worse than a F1 or a NASCAR driver. And no one's saying bring Beavis and Butthead into the game, but they need something cooler if they're going to push cosmetics.
The skin cosmetic designs didn't really stand out to me. I was like, oh, I need that.
I need
Even
that.
though it's expensive, I need that. I need it.
I need it now. And then the last comment reads, quote, 1047 Games is otherwise pausing its planned roadmap to overhaul the project ahead of a relaunch in early 2026. Another overhaul? Another relaunch? Didn't they just do that and that's what we've been playing the past couple months? I'm convinced this game is some kind of money laundering scheme at this point because what? Laugh it out loud. Crypto. Is that what we're? Is it like that? Pulling you from under the rug. Phase. Oh nope, too soon. Yep. But yeah, no, it is definitely kind of crazy, HenricK. I mean, have you ever seen a game launch so hard it bounced back in the beta?
Well, probably the easiest thing to pull out is that multiverse situation because that is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Though hopefully doesn't go the same route of what WB Games decided to do with that, where they just said, yeah, you know what, the game's dead. We're going to pull it. We're pulling the plug.
We're like, we're sorry.
Because I would like to see Splitgate 2 be successful, considering how many options they had. Like, I keep bringing it up, but I really commend the fact that they put so much work into having so many different options of game modes to play at launch, because it feels like other studios didn't want to even put in that effort to even try to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
And it feels almost like a bare minimum in
Yeah.
a way.
It does. But you know what's also kind of, to me at least, HenricK, a little bit laughable? Because I know the CEO, Ian, sat down with IGN and he was like, yeah, one of the biggest things that we came across as a studio, 1047 Games, is we saw this Reddit thread, and this Reddit thread entitled, "If You Stop Playing, Tell Me Why." And it was a laundry list of player complaints, and they based these 3 complaints from that thread for the reason why they felt like Splitgate 2 was not a finished product yet they want to go up on stage and say, make FPS great again. Yet they want to hit the reset button because I guess there's just too many bugs. Bugs, that's what it is. So what did the community want, HenricK? Well, it boils it down to 3 major components. This is what the CEO said. The first, he says what the Reddit thread demonstrated was they wanted basic features. They wanted a leaderboard and better progression. That seems kind of okay. Second one they said was, yeah, right, Splitgate 2 needs more portal walls and more opportunities for the portals generally. Okay.
Okay, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, right. And then
I feel like there's still a good amount of
that's what I thought. I'm like, what are we talking about? And then the third is they need to make adjustments to the game mode, though it isn't quite sure what, because he wasn't very clear on what that means. But I think, they can blame, oh, we had to go back to beta. We're not making enough money. Yeah, they got clowned about, the $145 microtransaction bundle at launch. But then there were a lot of players, HenricK, that said that the season pass was very confusing. They felt like they were kind of gatekeeping in a sense by not being very clear on what a discount listing was. They felt like it was very deceptive and didn't really show what the actual cost for the items actually were. They kind of made it like this really awkward real money to currency exchanges.
Doesn't every game kind of do this though? I feel
That's true. Fair enough.
but maybe not to the extent of like not showing the real world pricing of things, because there's regulations against that nowadays. But I feel like so often, even a game that I play, Marvel Rivals, you go to the store and a skin just came out, right? Well, guess what? It's on sale 50%, 56% off, not even 50, 56% off. For such a random amount, right? But the reason why is because they've done the math and they've realized if we sell this at full price, it won't sell as much as if we sell it for a discount. But we want to, make it seem like you're getting a good deal. The real price is that discount price.
And they'll also make the argument too, now that we have to cut the cost down for a free-to-play game for cosmetics, we got to find different ways, and that's why we had to go through cost-cutting measures. And, some of that is a bit problematic with 1047 Games, right? You referenced Stop Killing Games earlier. They said they had to kill off the original Splitgate one and, completely kill the server because it was costing the studio hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, What happened with all those allegations about, paying over $400,000 to the influencer market, ahead of Splitgate 2's launch? That's a bit
Yeah.
problematic. Was that smart money choice to promote your game? Probably not,
Yeah,
and
probably
so
not. It made it look almost like, and we had even mentioned this, you and I, was the Hyperscape game, which was a battle royale that launched like 3, almost 4 years ago by Ubisoft. Yeah, that game's not around anymore, and
yeah,
it only was a little blip in people's memory
I know, right?
because maybe some YouTuber that you watch and subscribe to had played it for like a week, and then they dropped it. And why was that? Well, they paid all those influencers to play the game for
Yeah.
that 1 week.
And it's definitely very, very wild. I mean, me personally would like, I don't like how the studio's been handling this. I don't think it was very cool that they had to like lay off 45, employees to make this happen. They say that's roughly about 28% of the studio employees. So like that's a major blow. I really want to see Splitgate 2 bounce back. But then again, we want to know from you, the gamers, can they make this happen? Will they have a successful launch? I didn't know they could do that. You know what I mean? They're
Launch
like
number
they're
2,
almost
Electric
they're almost trying to
Boogaloo.
yeah, exactly. They're almost trying to pull a SpaceX. You know what I mean? They got the rocket ship and then they caught it and then they're trying to see if they can shoot that rocket again and then catch it again. Can it have that same effect, or will it just completely, drop in the ocean and can be completely done? Let us know what's good. But HenricK, speaking of battles, this one's not in game. More like a courtroom showdown. What's the latest on the Call of Duty's war against the hackers?
Activision Blizzard is loading up its legal kill streak. They got it on lock.
Yeah.
Suing cheat developers around the globe for ruining Call of Duty and allegedly scaring off legit players and their wallets, because that's really what matters to them.
Yeah.
And according to Activision, aimbots are killing more than just kill streaks. They're tanking the brand. But is cheating the real problem, or just a conveniently scuffed excuse? Gamers are locked and loaded, sounding off with the following comments.
Oh, yes, they are, HenricK. Let's dive right on in. Hackers have more control over this game than the developers do. That is the realest shit I have ever heard, AB the game. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true. I mean, we've been hearing about this a lot recently. The latest one that I keep seeing, HenricK, is where someone, mostly it's always a streamer, a content, influencer that's running his mouth. Going, hey, yeah, cussing people out. And then the guy's like, yeah, your dog wet and you flop like a fish. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, enjoy this ban, buddy. And then the hackers are delivering bans on people. Sometimes doing permanent bans. So, like, what the hell is going on, HenricK?
Yeah, it's really wild, the amount of, legal speak and propaganda, you can even call it sometimes, that you'll hear from these companies and be like, yeah, you know what, your safety online playing our game or games
I know, dude.
is of the utmost importance
Yeah,
to
our
us.
cybersecurity is our utmost responsibility.
Yeah.
Yet,
But then
they keep
they have
infiltrating us like
issues
crazy.
like what you were explaining, where some gamer who's playing the game and has access somehow to the admin privileges is able to just dish out bans to whoever they want. How
Remember
does that
just-
work? Like, that just doesn't click as like, okay, this is not secure.
And it's not just Black Ops 6. They just had that reported story a couple weeks back with Call of Duty World at War showing up on the Xbox Game Pass. Gamers jumped on, very excited to live back the glory days. And then all of a sudden, someone's doing like a playful hack where they're actually infiltrating your computer and sending you like stupid messages through the Note app. And like people were like generally spooked out. And yeah, it is definitely a problem beyond, Activision Blizzard losing their money. And, just it doesn't make you want to return back to the game. So I in a sense, HenricK, I do understand where the company feels like their reputation's on the line and it's turning off legitimate gamers who play by the rules, ultimately causing lost revenue. But let's continue and make it a roll with the comments. Hacker has the audacity to say you're garbage when he's using hacks. Only hackers can say that shit. They're so ass at the game they can't even play the game for the game. Yeah, it seems like, there's more hacks, than ever, right? I mean, I could think of Nade Shot, who spoke up recently, had that viral video that's like, please, dude, I can't go in like, two different, every other game is a game that's being disrupted. And it's getting sick and tired. It's getting old. And can we make something happen, please? Or maybe just lower the price in general if you can't control it. You know what I mean? Like, why are you charging full price for a video game that could potentially infiltrate my PC or even potentially my console? I mean, you definitely hear about sometimes those horrendous stories in the past. And then also, hackers ban more people than Ricochet does, but the store always working. Yeah, I know. That's so true, right? I mean, they're always...
That's always the thing. Like, if a game is broken, for some reason the store is not broken, you can still buy something.
But isn't that wild? It also kind of shows how skilled the hackers are at cracking the security measures that protects one of the world's best-selling video games, right, Henrik? I mean, it's insane that this is still happening in 2025, and that's why they have to sadly go to federal court in LA to try to make this happen. And they're going to argue that they're violating the game's terms of services, copyright law, and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, because they claim that these hacks are, quote, parasitic in nature, end quote. But
parasitic in nature, yeah.
Yeah,
they're leeching off of the company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you're making bottom dollars selling those hacks. But even you get this one. Hackers always had more control over Call of Duty. I swear I can't get into a single match without finding one. Yes, we totally hear you. And it's amazing, too, like, people actually pay money for hacking tools. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I guess I grew up in a different generation, Henrik. I'm always baffled by that. I think that's totally crazy.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I wouldn't even trust the idea of buying something from someone who made some shady software like that in the first place.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with my credit card information?
And the wild part is this lawsuit that's in federal court in Los Angeles is targeted towards a 24-year-old man who they claim lives in Tennessee and goes by the online name Lurgy. And he was selling hacking software that enabled Call of Duty players to cheat by kicking opponents offline. And, then all of a sudden the lawsuit claims that they sent him, basically like a cease and desist, asking for him to stop all activity way back in June 2023. And, he kind of claimed, with cooperative spirit and good gesture that he voluntarily deactivated all the software. But what did he do, Henrik? Oh, no, he just switched names. He called himself the Joker. And then he ended up selling these master keys for how much, gamers? $350 across a multitude of games that Activision and Blizzard sell. So, yeah, I mean, that would definitely piss off Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
That you have these access to these tools that can ultimately eliminate them. Oh, we have more comments here. Let's get it going. A guy hacked a game my nephew was in. After all this taunts, he felt bad because my nephew was just a kid, so he unlocked all prestige, power-ups, weapons for him. So I guess there is one tiny benefit for a hacker in game. But then again, it's like, would you really want that to happen? What if your little bro is borrowing your account and you're like, man, now that you just unlocked everything, I don't know why I even want to come back.
There's like nothing else to do, no goal to work for.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I would feel, gamers. How do you feel? And then terrible servers, hackers everywhere, terrible skill-based matchmaking. Black Ops 6 is the last game of the entire franchise I'll ever play again. And that's what Activision Blizzard is concerned about. They don't want to see you leave. So, Henrik, if hackers can crack one of the world's best-selling games like a piñata at a LAN party, is the real question how to stop them, or are we just here to hire them to fix the game instead? What is it?
Well, at the end of the day, this sort of thing, unfortunately, is a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole. Or you can even call it a Hydra, where you cut off the head of one and two more show up in its place, because it's going to keep going like that. You cut down one person who's doing this, and there's going to be other people who take their place. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. You can't easily stop it. There's things you can do. Ironically enough, one of the ways to do that is to keep your game priced at a barrier to entry and not have it be free to play, which is what
Yeah.
Call of Duty does. So at the end of the day, it clearly doesn't really work for even a game as big as that. But it is a complex issue, and it's going to get worse because we've even already seen that there's some developments in the whole cheating space where they're starting to not even use software that's on device. It's all software that's mechanical. So like
Yeah.
it's controlling your mouse for you with a mechanical arm, and it's reading the screen, seeing and using its detection, be like, okay, that's an enemy right there. So I'm going to move the mouse using the mechanical arm you have hooked up to it, and I'm going to shoot for you.
Yeah, I guess the
At
dry
that point,
marker
you can't
eraser
do
don't
anything
work.
unless you have an actual camera in the person's room looking at what they're doing.
Yeah,
which-
yeah, exactly.
That's a whole level of obtrusiveness that you don't want it to be end up getting to.
Yeah, and like also too, the lawsuit does say that the kid also dubbed his next iteration as Game Hook, adding additional features that allowed players to see through enemies through the walls and auto aim at targets. Obviously, I know you gamers have seen those clips, and that's what the company claims. He sold a master key for over $350 that facilitated cheating across a range of games. And so, yeah, I definitely understand that loss of revenue is definitely happening amongst the Call of Duty community, but it's not just them. I mean, obviously you got other competitive shooter games like Valorant I can think of, Fortnite, that have try to continue that cybersecurity arms race to deter and catch cheaters for years. And what's really wild, just to kind of wrap up this conversation, HenricK, the company said in May, this is Activision Blizzard, that they banned 228,000 suspicious accounts from Call of Duty's Black Ops 6 franchise. Just from Black Ops 6 alone, okay? 5 cheat makers, and disrupted the operations of over 150 resellers who broker deals on the hacks by shutting them down or rendering their software ineffective. So, like, to me, when I hear the 228,000 suspicious accounts that got banned, I'm wondering how many of them actually came from hackers. Are their numbers actually legit? What I mean?
It's clearly not enough what they've done if they feel like they still need to bring someone into the court and deliver some judgment.
Yeah.
So,
and they've definitely won in the past. Last year, they were awarded from the courts more than $14 million in damages to Activision in a case that involved cheats for Call of Duty, along with, Counter-Strike, Titanfall, and other first-person shooters. And Bungie, the developer of Destiny 2, proved copyright infringement, and they won $63,000. It might not sound like a lot, but it was a win because, the amount the defendant made in the proceeds from selling unauthorized software. So, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of, streamers out there that would like to see Call of Duty go back to the glory days. They don't necessarily want to jump ships, but if they have to because they feel like the cybersecurity is a little bit better within their own gaming servers, yeah, I mean, if the gameplay plays better, you're going to move on. That's what I would like to think. But what do you say, gamers? Let us know what's good. But hey, let's keep things rolling with patch notes, because Microsoft kicked off, the great console peace talks by throwing Forza, Horizon, and many others onto rival platforms, which had everyone wondering if Xbox was writing its own breakup letter. Well, now PlayStation appears to be eyeing the same open relationship energy, with the new job listing hinting they're ready to spread the love to the PC and even other consoles. So gamers naturally are already revving up their hot takes in 3, 2, 1, let's get it, baby. So the first comment reads, if you told someone 5-ish years ago that PS and Xbox would stop having exclusives, they'd look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah. No,
Do you
because
feel that
it
way,
was
HenricK?
like almost unheard of,
I know.
It just didn't seem like it was ever going to happen.
And then PlayStation fanboys, so they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Why did I just spend all that money on the PS5 Pro? Oh my gosh. Oh no, all those same games are coming to my Xbox. No. I don't know. I didn't quite feel that way. I'm actually kind of excited. I mean,
Yeah,
they got
it's a
Gears
win
of
for
War
me
coming
being a
pretty soon.
PC gamer, so
Yeah, I mean, I want everybody to get rid of this whole exclusive talk. I think it's totally freaking lame. And then the console wars are well and truly dead. Long live this new golden age of gaming. And, you know, you could say in part that is because of the new nature of cloud gaming, you know, just being able to access, you know, hundreds of thousands of games makes it, you know, a little bit, you know, where you want to play everything. Right? And to be locked behind a console, I don't think that's necessarily going to win a lot of the newer gamers growing up, because I don't think they really want to pay $550 for a console to play 1 or 5 games locked to that brick.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, especially like I don't know if it's super enticing for people to look at the list of PS5 exclusives and be like, yes, this is worth $500.
Yeah,
700 and more if you're looking at the PS5 Pro.
Shit, the same goes for Xbox. The same goes for
Yeah.
Nintendo. You're like, I'm not buying that just to play that one game. And I think that's kind of where the gaming world's going. I mean, you're going to start to see more services show up on your flat screen. All you have to do is buy a gaming controller that fits your niche, and then you're going to be able to play some of these awesome video games, and it's time. Yeah, it's time. I know.
Spider-Man.
We've had it for so long. It is a glorious game. If you haven't played it, I feel bad for you, son. 99 problems, and that ain't one for a PS5 gamer. And then you also get comments like this. Sony saw the profits Xbox is making lately, porting their games everywhere, and figured maybe, just maybe, this exclusive thingy isn't going to cut it for us anymore. And if we want more profits and please our investors. But then you get a follow-up comment that reads, PlayStation's most sold game this year is Forza Horizon 5. The future is bringing the games to the gamers, not bringing the gamers to the games. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely fair, and I think they definitely want to see that change. And maybe they were like, you know, we're not really in that position, HenricK. Microsoft, it seems like you've been struggling with the console war. Not our problem. You guys could test it out. And then all of a sudden, once they start seeing that they're like bouncing hugely, a lot of people are, you know, embracing Xbox Game Pass. They're like, maybe we actually should start taking this a little bit more seriously. But I do think what Sony's not doing that Xbox is doing really, really well, HenricK, is that, like, yeah, I do have the PS Plus Premium. But the problem is when you go on the PC, you can't play a majority of those PS5 games compared to the Xbox Game Pass. You can play a lot of those games. They're not going to restrict you to being like, hey, you're only limited to, you know, the past console. And is that what they mean by this new job listing? Getting us ready for the new change? I don't know. But then the last comment reads, this is good. It's 2025. Let people play where they want. Even if it's time exclusive for a short period or you take the Steam route and release older titles, PlayStation has some amazing single-player games, and others should get to enjoy. Xbox is doing it. Yes, and we applaud you for that, Microsoft. But HenricK, if PlayStation's going multi-platform and Xbox already bailed on exclusives, how long before Super Mario shows up on my glorious PS5 and we realize we've slipped into the multiverse or DC universe where there's, like, supposed to be 100 universes? That's James Gunn saying that, not me. And does this finally pressure Nintendo to stop charging $90 for nostalgia?
Hey, you know what? If they do it, it's going to be a few more years because they're always behind a few years from the trends of the other players, you know, PlayStation, Xbox. But it really, at the end of the day, it benefits everyone. It benefits the companies that are making these games, the studios, I mean, as well as the publishers and the actual hosts of the games, the PlayStation and Xbox companies. Like, it benefits everyone. And most importantly, it benefits you and I, the gamers, because we just have the option to play things on whatever we want. If I don't want to buy a PS5 because I don't feel it's really going to be worth my $500, $700, well, that's okay because I can still play the games on my other console if I have another one or if I have a PlayStation. And same thing with an Xbox. If I don't feel like that's worth my money, that's fine. I already have a PS5. You know, so it works out in a way that I only see a benefit. And I really hope that this is a thing because, you know, it was kind of jarring when they originally said that their whole model was for the PS5 generation was yeah, we're selling the console and we're putting exclusives on there, and that's the reason why people are going to buy our console. And then they go and don't really put too many exclusive games on there. Like, that was
They might
a
shrink the
failed
time
idea.
exclusive window period a little bit, but like, I don't know. I mean, I think like Nintendo, if they definitely tanked with the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware sales, they would have gone down the route as Microsoft, but I don't think they're going to be doing that anytime
Yeah,
soon.
they probably, like I
Like,
said, it would probably be a few years if anything. 'Cause
yeah.
they're doing great right now in terms of sales, and also the fact, like I was saying, that they're usually a few years behind the trends
But
from
like,
the other
despite
companies.
the weak hardware sales, overall for Xbox, they continue to post record console playtime hours. I mean, that is something that is massive, and you could say that could be from the expansions into other markets with the Xbox cloud gaming. I think that's definitely very prevalent. Xbox
It's
still
also the
commands
fact
millions
that,
of active users.
sorry, I was going to say, I think
No, you're
also
good.
part of that might be the fact that it's one of the more accessible consoles, the Series S, I mean, in the fact that it's not that expensive to be able to
Yeah.
play current gen games. It's really not that bad of a deal.
Well, even think about even what Microsoft has even done. I mean, their arch rival, PlayStation, itself has opted to self-publish Helldivers 2 onto the Xbox platform. I think that is like really, really crazy. And even with this senior director, multi-platform and account management position, is very specific to the Xbox and PC. It does reference, in part, the Steam and the Epic Game Store to build sales and relationships. And like you were saying before, there's not a lot of gamers that experience Spider-Man or Ghost of Tsushima or Days Gone. I love Days Gone, and they're about to get a remastered. Wouldn't that be super cool for the Xbox fan that is still playing on the console to be able to have that game? And then just to kind of wrap this up, with the rumors that the next-gen Xbox will run with Steam, right? I mean, which also has Sony games. You would think that Sony definitely has to get a part of this fast. Very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
fast. And
Otherwise,
so,
they're just going to be left behind, because why would you go with them if there's other options out there that just expand your horizons even more? And the whole Steam thing, if that's true, like, that is a killer,
that's gonna be awesome.
deal right there on Xbox's side. That, it would really be a deciding factor for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then we have to fear the man, Steam, Valve, Gabe Newell. I mean, because he's not gonna be there forever. I wish we could live forever, but the next predecessor might be a very bad man. Who knows? Hey, but let's keep it rolling, because HenricK, the community's throwing some serious shade and hot takes. What's got everyone fired up this time?
Well, gamers, have you ever dropped a full price game or full price, buying it on a AAA video game only to delete it faster than it took to adjust the brightness settings? Because you do have to do that sometimes. For me, it's the audio, but sometimes it's brightness.
Oh, okay.
Well, Reddit's gone full therapy circle again, and this time a gamer asked the question, what's the absolute fastest you uninstalled a AAA game you paid full price for? And boy, the replies came in faster than the game's own load times. Turns out, regret downloads are the new speedruns.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I think it's really funny that you reference how in the accessibility, you're like, not so much the brightness, it's really the audio. For me, it's the text size. I mean, aren't they getting smaller? I mean,
Old
Jesus,
man Chris over here.
Hello, I know 4 eyes over here. Jesus. But anyways, hey guys, it's me, the only guy who bought the $100 version of the Battleborn and had nobody online to play with. Man, that would suck. That would definitely suck. Yeah, that, Battleborn. Refund. I know, hopefully you only play 2 hours of it and nothing more. And then you also get No Man's Skies, bought the collector's edition or whatever. I was so damn hyped. Absolute abomination of a launch. Props to Hello Games, though, as they refunded me immediately and told me to keep the game as they wanted to try and fulfill their promise or whatever. I called bullshit and then left it uninstalled for 4 years. Buddy told me to reinstall it and give it a try not long ago. Now I'm 250 plus hours in, and it's phenomenal. That's how you fix a game. Edit. I'm incredibly old. Holy shit, it's been 9 years, not 4. Jesus Christ, where's the time gone? So, yeah, I mean, No Man's Skies was one of those games that had very rocky launch, and
Yeah, it was super hyped up by Sony and everyone, and then yeah, it was not a good time for Hello Games, but they really picked up afterwards and
picked up the
won
momentum.
back the favor of gamers. I commend it.
Yeah, and then you get games like this, Fallout 76. But
Oh,
because I wanted it, it literally uninstalled itself. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Laughing out loud. Yeah, and we kind
Good
of
old
talked about this
Bethesda.
before in the past about Fallout 76. It's one of those kind of games too that you had to have played it too on launch. And I understand that there's a lot of people that did uninstall it at launch. But if you try to play it later on, it's one of those kind of games where they're like, hey, a little late to the party. Do you want a little boost, a little pick me up before you jump into this kind of open world experience with other players in this world? And it just doesn't quite hit the same. What would you say, HenricK?
yeah. I mean, it being an MMO, there has to be some catch-up mechanics, but the unfortunate thing about the catch-up mechanics is you lose out on the experience of part of the game, and when you do that, you might feel a little lost. But the unfortunate thing is you can't really as easily go through part of the game because not as many people are playing the earlier parts of the game anymore.
Yeah, and then you're
So,
going off with someone
it's
up,
like a
someone
cycle.
else's mission. You know what I mean? And you're like totally
Yeah.
lost on the lore, and that's what Fallout's all about. The lore, the
exactly.
backstory, what the hell is happening with these different locations that you are going to discover along your journey. But then there's people that say SimCity. Not just any SimCity, the 2013 version. Didn't love the always online requirements, but then they blocked me from playing because their servers were screwed up on launch day. The brand was dead to me. Sounds like a personal vendetta, but he's not the only one. There is over 4.4 thousand people that hit the upvote on Reddit over SimCity. I wasn't always the biggest fan of SimCity. Was that something that you were fond over?
No, I don't think I ever had an inkling even of a feeling to
Yeah.
play SimCity. Even now, probably I would look at it and be like, you know what? It seems like it could be something to sink your teeth into and get some time in, but I also have a huge backlog of games, and
Yeah,
some of
exactly.
them are much more enticing.
Yeah, fair enough. And then you also get Ace Combat Assault Horizon. Uninstalled it and got my refund as soon as it turned on into an on-rail shooter. It's an embarrassment that it shares a name with such an amazing franchise. Yeah, I feel the same way for you. And then last, Starfield. When I got to Neon and learned to make the expensive drugs everyone was talking about, only to find out they sell for pennies, really makes me miss Morrowind. So, yeah, those are those little tiny grapes. But, HenricK, which video game made you feel like you just donated towards a publisher's yacht fund?
This might make some people upset, but Sea of Thieves. So I
Yeah?
remember jumping in there and being
No,
like,
that's a good answer.
that's it? That's all
Yeah.
there is in here?
I got a
mean,
buddy that would probably be
come
so mad
on.
at you for saying that. He's like still living to this day, like
Hey, you
still
know
trying to
what?
convince the homies to jump on.
I've seen plenty of clips that are funny. I've seen people have a great time in it. Maybe it's just not the game for me to have fun in.
Hey,
Or maybe I need people to jump in with me, and that's the experience, is jumping
I mean,
in
I
with
didn't have this
people.
game on my list, but it was, League of Legends comes to mind. I get a lot of people that are like, hey, why don't you ever play that game with me? I'm like, I don't know. That kind of thing, it's just not for me. I install it, and then I instantly just uninstall.
That's pretty funny because I always made this joke with a coworker of mine that I will never play the game. The last day that he worked at my store, I said, I'll play the game with you one time.
Yeah, right. Just to mess with this psyche. You're like, wait, what? I found a friend.
And then
finally?
we did play, and I immediately uninstalled after.
And then you uninstall it. Yeah, I know. I still have buddies that are like, really? Sure? You don't want to play it? You want to watch my Twitch stream? And I'm like, yeah, not getting this whole anthill race. I'm not for me no more. But, the game that I'm thinking about is Forspoken. I mean, that is probably the fastest game that I've uninstalled.
Okay,
And funny
yeah,
enough,
yeah.
I've somehow reinstalled it, HenricK, because I keep hoping that the combat will finally click, but phrase, magical wrist power sounded cool until I realized that the fights are like this awkward button mashing experience. And then a part of me is like, why am I still playing? I mean, and I think maybe some of the problem is too, HenricK, is that combat kind of reminds me of Hogwarts Legacy, and maybe Hogwarts Legacy worked for me because it's Harry Potter. But then after I finished the game, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this kind of same style of combat mechanics again. And that's what I got. I mean, yeah, the world cities are cool, and but that open world is a little scarce in my opinion. And so
yeah,
it's
and
unfortunate.
that's the thing too. When there's so many options out there that work, it's almost like you gotta. With so many games out there, it's almost like you have to limit your choice of what to play to things that only meet a certain threshold of fun. And if it's not meeting that threshold, I just got to drop it because otherwise it doesn't feel like it's worth my time.
So true. And I felt Forspoken really does set up as like a great concept. Questionable execution, I'll have to add, but it's kind of like a magic trick gone wrong. I was liking the idea that this New Yorker girl gets sucked into this kind of world that kind of gives you this like Game of Thrones-esque, and then all of a sudden it just goes real quickly. Very cheesy and cringy dialogues, I gotta say too. By the way, and the girl cusses so weird in the game. It felt so forced. It felt so forced. But we want to know.
Did I really just
do
that?
What? I know, right? And always constantly cussing or like just using like really cringy terminology. I don't know what it was. But it's a game that I've tried over and over and over again. It just completely fails. But what is that game that was like the fastest uninstall of a AAA video game? Not a AA, not an indie, a AAA video game that you were like, nah, no way, son. Putting you back in the vault. I wish I never unsealed you. You might have been worth some money if I never touched or scratched the disc. Let us know what's good. But we want to thank everyone that is tuning in live to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. We want to take a moment towards the end of the show to let everyone know to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show. And this QR code will send you directly to my YouTube channel. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Come on now, fam.
And you see this QR code, bask in its glory. And if you liked anything from the show, go ahead and scan that QR code because that goes to my YouTube channel where there's tons of content just waiting to be watched, but waiting for your eyeballs to watch them. So go watch some videos, leave some comments. I'll respond to you. Leave me some criticism. I want to hear some criticism.
Yeah,
we always know what I can do better.
We always love the fun banter. Sometimes we can't take you seriously or not because sometimes it's just a god-awful take. But then sometimes we get some very genuine, thoughtful soliloquies that come in very, very rare form. So we love you for that, gamers. So thank you so much. It's always great to know that you guys got our backs. But we also want to let you guys know the season finale of Season 9 is happening next week. So make sure you have it listed on your calendar for 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time live on YouTube, Meta, and Twitch. Join along for the ride because it's going to be a jam-packed show. But for now, gamers, enjoy yourself. Be safe out there. Play lots of video games. Drink the Kool-Aid. Get that energy drink. Whatever fits your mood. If it's the hot Cheetos, just make sure it's not too sticky on the thumb pad and you might be all right. Or it's a skill issue. Or you just need a napkin or a bib. I don't know what it is. But we'll see you soon, fam. Peace!